I am going to give you two ways in which you will be able to identify the partner and also validate the partner, so that you, when you look at the person, you will say this is a 100% match. Hello, namaskar and adab to all my friends, from your friend astrologer and guide Irfan, once more with you from your very own channel Astro Assurance. A lot of times when we are looking at who can be our probable partner, a few things we also look for is to know how the person would look like, what the habits of the person are, what the person's demeanor is, what the person's attitude is, maybe where the person may work, and to take it forward, what will be the social structure of the family, or what will be her family background. Will she come from a family which is more affluent than mine, and which direction she will come from. So at least many times I find, especially in horoscope matching, when somebody wants to confirm a partner or know the details of a partner, when they are looking for a partner, they are expecting to know more so that they are able to identify the person more properly. So identification of a spouse before you meet the spouse, or to validate a person who is right now you are probably seeing or dating, that becomes the norm, as if to confirm, yeah, this is the partner who I have to be with, and because I am with this person and my horoscope says that this is the partner, so this is my person who I will be with for the next 10, 15, 20 years. Or if I am not being able to find a partner and it's been some time, but I want to know, when I am looking for a partner, who will fit the bill more according to my horoscope, and through that I identify my partner, and that's how I'll be able to see who is my partner, so that I can take forward the next steps. Now the problem with this is that the moment you're given some identifying tips, that your partner may be good looking, he or she may be fair, or the family's social structure may be better than yours, the person may also be working in your line of work, then they start looking for that kind of person. And sometimes when they have met somebody who may be checking many of the boxes but not these important boxes, for example, somebody is very good looking but the person is not very fair, but astrologer has told this person the person will be fair. The person's family may be as good or maybe slightly lesser than this gentleman's family, but he is looking at somebody whose family social stature is better than his, for example. Then in spite of the person checking all the other boxes, the person may have similar values and principles like yours, the person may be looking at future goals similar than yours, you and the other person may be matching in your attitudes, in your ambitions in life, many other boxes may check, but these 3-4 important ones are not checking. Then you'd want to stop dating a certain person or seeing a person because the person doesn't match the horoscope details. So let's jump into and first see how you may identify the person from your astrological placements, and then validate it through some due diligence, some logical, some intelligent, some wise approach you may be able to do to validate whether the person seems to be the right person for you or not. Firstly, most of us are very worried about looks. How will the person look? So first check in your horoscope. If your 7th house has moon or Venus or both in the 7th house, then the person can have softer looks, the person will be good to look at, may be beautiful, and maybe of fairer color, whatever your standard of fairness may be. At least in your society, in your community, the person may be regarded as fair. And because moon and Venus are also there, especially if they are in good dignity, the person may also have very rich taste in life. And so how do you know when you're meeting somebody or seeing the person? How can you validate the person? Through your horoscopic placement and the other person, especially if you have not been able to see the person but you have seen the horoscope. So in the person's horoscope, see if the person has moon or Venus or any benefic planet in the lagna of the horoscope of the person. If the Venus is very strong in the lagna or moon is very strong, then the person may be good to look at, the person may be presentable, the person may also be fair. And because Venus is in the lagna in strength, or Venus is in strength in the 12th house, then the person may also have richer taste in life. Then what is the more intelligent, wise way? When you meet up with the person, confirm these through talking to the person in a very casual chat, as if to know the person. You may ask, Of course, when you look at the person, you will know whether the person is good looking or not. But to know the taste of the person, you may ask the person, are you interested in brands, or what kind of clothes do you wear, what kind of things do you, what kind of taste do you have, do you have more refined taste? So in your casual conversation, you may be able to validate whether the person does have richer taste in food, in clothes, how they do up their house, in terms of the vehicle that they want, or the items that they buy. And through that, you will be able to validate whether in your horoscope, that person's horoscope, and through your interaction also, the person is checking most of the boxes or not. And through that, get closer to the person who can be your lifelong partner. But what if the person is not fair or not going to be fair? For example, Saturn and Venus in your 7th house, which means the person may be beautiful, but the person may not be very fair. The person may be wheatish, or maybe slightly or one shade darker, or maybe more shade darker than you. Then you will have either Saturn and Venus in the 7th house in your horoscope, or Saturn in some way aspecting the 4th house or the Lagna as well. Or at least it will aspect the 7th lord or Venus in your horoscope. But in such a case, the person may definitely like the good quality of life, but the person may also be more tighter on the purse. The person likes the good quality of life and will save up money before the person goes and buys. The person will not swipe the credit card every now and then just because they like to have something at home. They want to have a richer quality of life, and through that fall into financial problems. So firstly, check through your horoscope, and then if you have not been able to see the person, then check from the other person's horoscope. Is Saturn in the 4th house, Saturn in the Lagna, Saturn even in the 5th house, or Saturn in the 2nd house? All of this will show whether the person is tight-fisted or not. And Venus is in the Lagna or Venus is in the 12th house, the person still has good taste or not. And if Saturn is aspecting the Lagna Lord, chances are, before you see the person may also be of a slightly lesser shade in terms of looks than you. And then when you meet the person, you can validate the looks surely. And how to check whether the person is tight-fisted or not? Ask questions that, how do you look at managing the finances? How do you manage your house? What kind of things that you prefer? What kind of brands do you prefer? If there is dearth of money, then how do you balance? If the person says, yes, I'm a little tight-fisted, if I want to buy something which is more expensive, I will save up money for that thing rather than swipe the credit card. I don't believe in credit cards. Then you may know that this is a more closer match to what you are looking for through your horoscope, other person's horoscope, and when you meet face to face with the person to validate whether this is the right person for you or not. Then if you want to see whether the person is a hard-working person or not, or what does your horoscope say? Your 7th lord in the 10th house, Saturn in the Lagna, or even Saturn in the 4th house can show a person who is a more workaholic person, who likes to work, who will not be sitting idle. And this person may also be concerned about his or her career, may also be ambitious. And this is your validation from your horoscope. If you've just seen the horoscope of a person, but you don't know whether that person is hardworking or not, see if the person can be, if that person has Saturn in the 10th house, Mars in the 10th house, Saturn and Mars in any way getting connected to the Lagna, or the Lagna Lord or the 4th Lord in the 10th house, then you can say that this is a closer match between what your horoscopic placements say and what the person's horoscopic placements say to the person's chart. Now, how do you validate whether this person seems to be the person? Through your interaction. Then ask about the quality of life they like to lead, who gives the expenses, how do they manage the expenses, how ambitious they are, how career focused they are, how many hours do they work, how do they look at work-life balance, and through that you will be able to ascertain whether this person, through your horoscope, through the person's own horoscope, and through interaction, through this wise communication, through this intelligent communication, you are able to validate whether this person seems to be a more proper match from the identity of the person or not. Then if you want to check whether a spouse of yours, a probable spouse of yours, may be somebody who has a less immune system, is more sickly also, or is prone to fall sick every now and then. In your horoscope, if you have the 7th lord in any of the dusthanas, either in the 6th house or 8th house or 12th house with a malefic, and if the 7th house also has a malefic, or if the 7th lord is also under the aspect of a malefic, then there is a high chance, especially if Ketu gets into the mix or Saturn gets into the mix, that the person may keep not so good a health. And then if you're looking at the horoscope of the person before you have met the person, then you can check the Lagna Lord's placement, the dignity of the Lagna Lord, whether the Lagna Lord itself is in the Dusthanas, or the Lagna Lord is with any malefic, especially either with Saturn or with Ketu. And if Mars is also weak, then you can also be more certain that this person seems to be matching your astrological placements and that person's. Then validate that when you meet the person. Overall, check how the person seems to be, whether the person is chirpy, lively, lazy, seems to be sickly, how pale the face is, and validate through your questions. Ask how the person keeps himself or herself more healthy, what are the healthy habits do they have, is there something which they are asked not to take, not to partake, and how good is their immune system, are they choosy about their food habits, why they are choosy about the food habits, when did they last get ill, check if they are presently on any medication, and check if there have been any surgeries. Through that you will be able to validate through your astrological placements, the other person's astrological placements as well, and through your interaction whether the person seems to be more confirmed on matching from a health point of view, whether the person matches closely on these areas. Now to see the financial status of the would-be probable person. In your horoscope, if 7th Lord is exalted, there are benefits in the 7th house. The 7th house, the 7th Lord is placed with the planet in its exaltation sign. The 7th Lord is placed either in any of the Kendra houses or even in the trine houses with another benefit. 7th Lord is in the 11th house. Venus is very strongly placed in good dignity. All these point towards, or at least 2 or 3 of these placements point towards the financial status of the person may be much better. Then if you're looking at the horoscope of the person before meeting the person, you can check where the Lagna Lord is placed, how strong or dignity Venus is, where Jupiter is placed, especially see the status of the 2nd house and the 4th house. If the 2nd Lord and the 4th Lord are strongly placed, there are benefits in the 2nd house, especially in the 4th house, and if any of these are exalted, benefits are placed in the Lagna, then this person can be of a good financial status, maybe sometimes even in a better financial status than yours. And then in the person's horoscope, if the Lagna Lord is in the 2nd house, the Lagna Lord is in the 4th house, the Lagna Lord is in the Kendra with other benefit, but in your horoscope the 7th Lord is in the 2nd house or the 4th or the 11th house with strong dignities and with benefit placements, then you can say this person seems to be a good match from both your astrological placements and the person's as well. Then when you meet up with the person, you can validate through your horoscopic placements to the other person and through that interaction whether the person does seem to be somebody with good financial status. For example, check for how the person looks, check how the person has arrived, ask the person which car he or she drives, ask the person how many cars they have in the house, ask the person what is the source of income of the father, in a very conversational manner, not to be seen as a more prying manner or a questioning manner or a interrogating manner. Ask them where they stay, ask them which place did they take the last holiday, ask the person what do they mean by quality of life or lifestyle, what are the things that the person may prefer, and through that you will be able to ascertain whether the person enjoys a good lifestyle and comes from a good financial background or not. Now, whether to check whether the spouse, probable spouse, will be disrespectful to you or will respect or honor you or not, or will be appreciating of you or acknowledging you or not. So then see whether there are malefics placed in the 7th house. 7th Lord is placed with malefic, especially if the 7th Lord gets into an inimical sign with another malefic, and if Sun or Rahu or Mars or Rahu gets into the 7th house without any benefic placements and Jupiter not involved either with the 7th Lord or with the 7th house in any manner, then there is a high chance that this person can be respectful. This person may not pay heed to in situations to be respectful to you or in generally appreciative of. And then validate the other person's demeanor similar to what you are seeing through your horoscope in the other person's horoscope before you have met the person. For example, see the Lagna of the person. If the Lagna has Sun or Mercury or Sun or Mars in the Lagna, or Sun or Rahu, or even Mars or Rahu in the Lagna, then this person can be somebody who thinks very highly of himself or herself, and there may be a tendency to look down other people. If the Lagna Lord has gone into any of the trine houses, then to the person may have a good background, may also think highly of the person may also be not low on confidence. And if there are any malefics involved, either with the other person's Jupiter, if you are a woman and checking for a man, and if there are any malefics with the other person's Venus, for example, if you are a woman and checking for a man's horoscope, or if you are a man and checking in the woman's horoscope, check if there are malefics with the Jupiter, especially going into the Dusthana, then there is a chance that the probable person may not be respectful to you. Then validate these through in your interaction with the person. Ask the person that if I don't seem to be paying attention to you, and or if I'm not listening to you, or if 2 or 3 times I don't listen to what you're asking me to do, then how will you feel? How will you react? Or if I seem to come across as disrespectful to you, how will you react? Then see what the reaction of the person is. If the person says, I will talk to you, I will sit you down, I will tell you how I feel, how hurt I was, then there is a chance that the person may not be so vicious. But if the person says, I'm not going to listen to you, man, I give back, I will give back if somebody tells me anything, that is something I just can't tolerate. That's your answer. Then to see whether your horoscope is also showing and the other person's horoscope is also showing that the marriage may break, or even loss of spouse. Loss of spouse can be for various reasons. Firstly, in your horoscope, if the 7th lord goes into the 6th house, especially either in a debilitation sign, like for an Aries ascendant native, Venus rules the Libra sign, the 7th lord goes into the 6th house in Virgo, then you know that this is that kind of a placement where the 7th lord is getting debilitated in the 6th house, or the 7th lord getting combusted, or 7th lord getting into any of the other Dusthanas with a malefic, and the person's Jupiter or Venus. So if you are a woman and your Jupiter is also with a malefic, especially in the Dusthana, and if Ketu is involved in the mix, then there is a high chance that the relationship, for some reason, there could be a loss of spouse. If Mars gets into the mix, then the loss of spouse can also be because of tragic circumstances. Then check the horoscope of the probable person. If the other person's Lagna Lord is very weak, the person Dusthanas has no malefics, the trine houses don't have any benefit, the Mars of the other person's horoscope also is very weak, then it could be a chance that the person is matching the placements of your horoscope. Then it increases the chance that the person may be lost to in your life because of either the person being too sick, or the person moving away from you, or the person even being lost because of health reason, or in rare circumstances even because of tragic circumstances. Now you can validate about this when you meet the person also. Check, is the person rash in how he or she drives? Check on the health of the person, check on the healthy habits of the person, check if there are any addictions, check if they have been hospitalized, check if there are any medication that they are going through, and how strong and how healthy they have been in the recent past. Through that you can validate through your horoscope, the other person's horoscope, and in your interaction to see whether this seems to be a more probable match about what your horoscope is giving out, the kind of person that person may be. Now to see if the person is a very virtuous person. If the 7th lord is exalted, and if your Lagna lord is also placed in the 7th house, then that person can be a very virtuous person, very committed to you, very loyal to you. If your 7th lord is also in the 9th house with a benefic, then too the person can be having very good values, maybe even a more religious person, a more spiritual person also. And if you are a woman and if Jupiter is placed strong, either in the Lagna, or Jupiter is placed in the 7th house, or even in the 9th house or the 4th house, then the chances that the person can be a very virtuous person is increased. Now when you meet the person, after checking your horoscope, other person's horoscope, and then in the interaction, you may be able to validate these things further by asking questions related to the person's character. For example, if you are a man, you may ask the woman that if you find me getting the more attention of the other women, will you feel jealous? Will you feel confident? Would you also be inspired to make more friends outside, have your own social life? Especially if I'm too much of a workaholic, and then would you like to spend most of your time outside making friends? And if you feel a little jealous because I have so many female colleagues who work with me, would you try to make me jealous by you increasing your male friends? And through these questions you may be able to validate how the person thinks. Is the person virtuous? Is there a chance that this person will remain loyal to you in the long run or not? And through that you may be able to check the virtuosity or the character of the person. You can validate this further by checking on the Lagna Lord of the person, and if the person's Lagna Lord is placed in either in any of the Kendra houses or the trine houses and with a benefic, or if it gets into the 9th house with a benefic, then it is a very, very high chance that this person has a lot of character, and this person is a very virtuous person, maybe even a religious or a spiritual person. How do you know whether the person can be more complaining or procrastinating? Then if your 7th lord, for example, goes into the 2nd house with malefics there, or your 7th lord gets into the 8th house with malefics, especially with Mercury involved in the mix, either Mercury is placed in an inimical sign in the 7th house, Mercury is placed in a combustion or inimical sign or even degradation in your 4th house, or in the Lagna, especially if Rahu gets also into the mix, then this person can be very complaining. If Ketu gets into the mix, then the person can be less interested in you, may not care so much for your insults also, then maybe lose interest in you over a period of time. If your 7th lord is placed with Ketu or with Saturn with another malefic, and if the Lagna lord of the other person's horoscope is weak, their Mars is also weak, and their 3rd lord is combusted, their 3rd lord is weak, they are in their 3rd house, you have Saturn or Ketu or both of them mixed or both of them present, then the person may also be lazy or even a little procrastinating, especially if the 3rd house is weak, Mars is weak, and the Lagna lord is also weak. Then you can validate this further when you meet the person. You may ask, what motivates you, how ambitious are you, what is your daily routine, if you have 3-4 things on your hand, how do you manage that, would you put them off, until all of them become very, very important and urgent, or you try and finish off the important task first? Are you planned? How organized you are? What have you been doing lately? What have you been doing in your career? How far do you want to go in your career? Through that you will also know whether this person is lazy, is more complaining to you, procrastinates, and will depend more on you to do the household work and to take care of outside things as well as to take care of them. Then if you want to validate other probables, for example, when you are thinking of getting married, does the other person's dasha, antardasha, or do the transits of the person also fall in line? For example, the dasha of your 7th house and your 4th house is on, and Saturn and Jupiter are transiting either over your 4th house or your 7th house, over your Lagna lord or your 7th lord, then there is a high probability that you may get married during that phase. During the same phase, look at the astrological placements and the dasha, antardasha, and transits of the other person. If the person also has similar placements where the dasha of the Lagna lord, the 4th lord, the 2nd lord, the 11th lord, or the 7th lord, or a mixed antardasha or dasha of these is on, and if Saturn and Jupiter are either transiting or aspecting the Lagna lord or the 7th lord during the same phase of time when yours are, then there is a high chance that this person can also be in a similar period of getting married. And if other things are also validated through your astrological placements, other person's astrological placements, plus in their demeanor, their character, when you validated them through your interaction, then there is a very high chance that this person could be a strongest match or strongest probable match to be your long-term partner. But the challenging period could be only if the person is going through the peak Sadesati period. That is a period definitely to be avoided. And if you are also in your peak Sadesati period or rising Sadesati period, and if the other person is in any of the phase, especially the peak or the rising Sadesati period, then it is a good time or a good thing to avoid marriage during either that time or with that person. So friends, now that we have seen through multiple placements, from looks to the financial status of the person, financial status of the family, whether the family has good total stature or not, whether the person is a person who's a workaholic, having high ambition or not, having a high lifestyle or not, will be a high maintenance person or not, is lazy, procrastinating, complaining, fighting, is there a separation or divorce or even loss of spouse in the lieu, and whether the person needs you and matches you in the kind of nature of person that you're looking for, calmness of the person, loving nature of the person, peaceful environment of the house. After looking at all of these through your astrological placement, through the other person's astrological placement, through also in your interactions, and lastly to the dasha, antardasha, and through the transits, when you put all of these put together, then whoever comes closest to the match can be the most matched person and the most probable person who you may end up with in your life, and that is the person for you. So friends, look into your astrological placements deeply, look into the placements of the person who you are dating or seeing right now to check and validate, but also check through the interaction, through your wisdom, rather than only astrological placements, also checking the period, the transit, and accordingly, and make your decision a more long lasting and a wise decision. So friends, like this video, share this video, and if you're looking for a personal consultation from me, please reach out to me at the link given below. Till some other time with some other video, this is your friend astrologer and guide Irfan signing off. Ciao.